Hey, Sean. Obviously, pretty big draft class. Not sure many expected you to make all five picks on Wednesday night, but what stuck out to you about these guys, and what excites you about them, as a class as a whole?
Yeah, thanks, Perry. Well, we've never had three tables up here, so that shows you the size of the draft class, right? First and foremost, I want to welcome all these guys, these young men, to Brooklyn, obviously to our Nets family, and also their families to Brooklyn as well. So it's a special opportunity for us all to, as we watch our Brooklyn family grow and grow like this. It's great. It was a unique opportunity for us, to be quite frank. We've never had, 5 picks in one draft, and to be able to draft all of them in a draft class that we just saw, that was unique, and that was something that we want to take advantage of, especially in our build where we see these young men fitting into our group and into our roster. So it was about us capitalizing on the hand we were dealt, what a lot of our scouting department and so forth did all year long, the work they put in, and we felt very confident about not only this class but these men that we were able to put in front of you right now. So it's exciting for us.
Jordi, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
All right. Obviously, having 5 first-round picks, I think that might be as many as you guys had actually taken in like 8 years.
It's my first time, yeah.
So it's a luxury, to be sure. But how do you go about, for the lack of a better term, playing and giving experience to and growing 5 young guys simultaneously, putting all your attention on 5 guys as opposed to 1 or 2 or even 3?
That's a good question. The way I see it is I'm going to focus on the team and what we're trying to build as a group. And these young men are part of our family now, and they're going to have to earn it. And I think that's how it should be. They'll put the work in. They've already shown who they are. That's why we drafted them, and they're part of this amazing journey. And then it's going to be my decision to go and put 5 guys on the court and to have most likely a 10-man rotation and go through the process. And I think that's definitely on me. Player development is going to be important. We've been very diligent. The coaching staff has done a great job making our guys work, and those guys have improved, and we believe they'll do the same thing. So it's an exciting part of our journey right now to welcome these guys and put them to work.
Hey everybody, Lucas Kaplan, S Daily. This one's for Sean. Obviously, some statistical similarities in a lot of the draft picks, high assist numbers, a lot of ball handling responsibilities, things like that. Did you sense sort of a shift in your evaluation as just a baseline when evaluating this class, or did it just happen to be that, the best player available ended up with, ball handling duties, high assist numbers, or somewhere in between?
Yeah, I think we look at a little bit of all of that, right? It's obviously best available, that factors in, but it also, the scouting work that we've done on these guys throughout this, not just this year, but, leading up to this year, would lead us to believe it's a versatile class, right? They can play multiple positions, as Jordi just mentioned, multiple ball handlers. I think to be able to come in here and limit guys and say you can only fit into this category or this position. You've heard all the cliches, positionless basketball and so forth, but, you want high IQ guys, that's what we've got here. You want versatile guys, that's what we've got here. So, again, it gets back to an exciting group out there and not limiting them on how they can play. we saw attributes throughout the year of how each one of these played individually, and now, as Jordi almost even mentioned before about the coaching staff. Our development staff's proven that they've done a great job, and I think that gives me utmost confidence in developing these 5 guys. And if we had that confidence in our staff, we probably wouldn't have done it. But, sky's the limit for all of them.
Jordi, kind of similar question, the one that Sean just had. These guys obviously share a lot of high basketball IQ, love to share the ball. How do you think that plus the positional versatility and size that they have kind of fit in the way that you want your team to play?
Yeah, on both sides of the floor, I'm starting with defense. Positional size is very important, right? And you guys can see here, with your eye test, I would play these guys almost, 1 through 4, 1 through 5. So that's a good thing for us. You'll see length, athleticism, and we'll keep working on that physicality, communication. That's one of the things, the multiple effort. Those are the things that we have to be on the same page, and that's my job as a head coach. And then offensively, we want to play with pace, right? So in my opinion, we have the fastest guy in the draft. We have a lot of playmaking here. All these guys can really pass the ball. All those paint touches and ball reversals, like it just helps you when you have not primarily ball handlers, but also secondary ball handlers, and all these guys can do it. So it's all a positive. There's no negatives here, and I'm very excited. And as I told them already today, is if your teammate touches the paint and creates a three for you, you have to let it fly. Otherwise, you're going to come sit with me. So they already know what we're trying to do. It's been a good couple of days here, and this preparation for Summer League is exciting.
Hi all, Yoav from Sport 5 Israel. Welcome to Brooklyn. First of all, guys, a question for Jordi. Since you're very close with Coach David Blatt, I'd like to hear what he told you about Ben, maybe about Danny, and if it helped you in your evaluation about them towards the draft.
Yeah, because I think words of wisdom are always important. And as you know, I have a lot of respect for Coach Blatt as a person, as a coach. And when we do our due diligence, we want to, you want to watch the players yourself, but also you need to know, all the things that you didn't know, and everything was very positive coming from Coach Blatt. He really liked these two guys, and he knew them pretty well. So he really helped us, and finally we were lucky enough to get them both here.
Hi, everybody. Brian Florentin from Nets Daily and Nets Republic. This one's for Sean. Since you've been the GM, the relationship with Long Island has been really strong, and the development has really sort of been hand in glove. How do you see Long Island playing a big role as far as helping to build on the new talent coming in?
Yeah, I mean, Long Island they are exactly the same as Brooklyn Nets, right? Maybe a different infrastructure and a little bit further away, but we want to make sure that whenever our players from Brooklyn spend time in Long Island, there's nothing amiss, right? So it's clear communication between the two groups. Matt McDonald, our GM there, has done a heck of a job in helping to develop them. Mufon, our head coach down there, the same thing. And I think the proof's in the pudding when we look back and see some of our guys over the last few years who have developed and spent a lot of time in Long Island, and then all of a sudden come up to Brooklyn, and next they're starting for us or playing meaningful minutes in Brooklyn. You can see that there's a development track and development path there. So I assume some of these guys will definitely spend some time in Long Island, and we'll have to see how the season sort of plays out and what minutes are there for everybody. But at the same time, as Jordi mentioned, it's an environment of competitive nature out here. So that's what we want to see. These guys go compete. There's no promises given to anybody, let alone the draft picks or the guys we currently have under the roster. Let's go compete, and may the best man win.
This question is for Sean. This is Mark Malusis from WPIX. Sean, how important is the relationship between GM and coach in terms of the system that Jordi wants to play when you're going into draft night? And then what are the expectations for the Nets in the upcoming season?
Yeah, I mean, the relationship is vital. I mean, it's a clear partnership between not only Jordi and myself, but with the front office and Jordi's entire coaching staff. I mean, we both need to feel very strong that whoever we draft that night or whoever we bring into our program, whether it's through free agency or trade, can fit. And why do they fit? And how do they fit within not only Jordi's system, but do we see an upside? Do we see a versatile player that we can help develop? And we're trying to predict 3, 4, 5, 6 years down the line. What are they going to look like there? I think throughout the entire draft process, having the coaches involved in this is maybe somewhat unique, but we really value their opinion. That's why they're available and they're included in all of their draft workouts that they participated in with the Nets. And we ask their opinions, and we get in the room and we fight it out and battle. And I want to hear from them. They're the ones up and close, and they're feeling these guys on the court. So I think it's really important, and I love to see that buy-in. And I think, to be quite frank, that's where player development starts. When the coaching staff is excited about guys you draft. You guys saw the room on draft night. Guys were excited about it. I mean, we're thrilled to have these guys, and I think that's a little bit of that. That just shows the emotion that's gone into a year of work, not only from the scouting department, but from the process that the coaches have been through in the last couple of months. Expectations for this year are the same as always. Go out and compete. You know, we don't put a limit on don't do this and hopefully you don't win these amount of games or anything. That's never crossed our lips here. It is go compete and do the borough proud. And I think that's what this group has done. That's certainly what Jordi has done. And when your leader voices that in timeouts and voices that in the locker room, that speaks volumes. And that's why people want to play for him. And that's why people are excited to have their players here and working with this coach and this coaching staff.
Hi, Vincent Piala for the French media Le Parisien. Question for Sean and Jordi. What did you see on Nolan that convinced you to select him? What do you expect from him this year? And Nolan, maybe if you can tell the first days of you in Brooklyn.
Why don't we hear from the young fellow first?
Okay. Yeah, my first days in Brooklyn were really good. We started to work since the first day. We're just excited about the journey we can do, and excited about the team we can have. A lot of young guys, a lot of pace, like Igor said. And yeah, I think and that's a great city too. So it's good to be here. So yeah, really happy to be part of the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, to answer your question as well, really enjoyed going over there and watching him play live. I think it's one thing to watch on film and so forth, but you know, live and in person, you get to see his athletic ability, you get to see the speed, the first step, you know, breaking down defense and so forth. And I think those are some things that you can't necessarily teach. You either have that innate ability or you don't, and he has that, and that was very exciting for us. One thing I do, I love the draft process. I love getting to meet these young men and all the other people in the draft themselves and get a feel for how they fit. You know, how are they going to fit with us? How are they going to fit with each other? How are they going to fit with our coaching staff? How are they going to fit in Brooklyn? And that was something that really stood out, not only about Nolan, but the whole group here. And to get to know Nolan a little bit better, you saw the personality. You know, on the court, he does seem to be on the quieter side. I loved seeing the older players on his team, you know, in France, really navigate to him, and he could draw them in, and he was a quiet leader out there, and I think those are some characteristics that were really important for us to see. He had the respect for his team, and for a young man to have that at this age is quite unique. So, one, to get to meet him, you know, in a little bit of a more casual setting was fantastic, and you got to see a real personality, and you got to see how he would fit here with the group and in the locker room. And then I think something that stood out was certainly how he garnered the respect from his teammates in Europe.
Sean, kind of building on your last answer about just sort of the process of identifying this class of guys. You know, I imagine, you know, if you wanted to go see someone from North Carolina or Michigan, you could decide that at breakfast and get on a plane and go. But this is not very easy to do, I would imagine. How far out do you identify these guys and where you can see them and when, and just how you know where you're seeing them, they have the game to translate to the NBA?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I got to give a lot of credit to not only BJ Johnson, but the entire amateur scouting department. They've done a heck of a job this year and years in the past, you know, being able to identify talent in all walks of life all over the world, right? And basically they tell me where to go, and that's where I go, and I go and see them. And I think it's really important to lay eyes on these guys. I enjoy that part of the process. I personally enjoy seeing them, and I think our entire group has done a nice job, you know, again, identifying these young men and how they would fit with what we're trying to build here in Brooklyn, and also seeing okay, where can they be, right? Where can take Noah Clowney, for instance, right? You take him from the college ranks here, and okay, where does he end up? And I think that's a credit to the amateur scouting department. Then it's also a credit to our development coaches, not only in Long Island but here, to see a guy like that. And we would expect nothing less from the rest of this group, you know, with you'll see a quick rise in their games as they get, you know, there is a learning curve for sure. There's no question that you're looking at 4 19-year-olds up here. So I have 2 boys myself, older than them. So, I mean, it just puts it in perspective, just how young this group is. And to me, that's exciting when you see what the continuity we can have with this group, and how they can build and how they can flourish over the next 3, 4, 5 years is going to be exciting.
Eric Slater, Clutch Points. Welcome to Brooklyn, all you guys. This one's for Jordi. Sean referenced before how excited you guys looked, after making each of these selections. You looked particularly excited after you guys made the Yegor pick. Just throughout the scouting process in the last year, you guys getting to look at him, getting to know him. Just what excited you about his skill set, what he did on the court, and how he could fit into your philosophy and your vision.
Yeah, going back to the positional size and his playmaking, obviously it's very important that we help each other and we give each other the best shot possible. And we believe that he can do it, playing pick and roll or simply making the right play. That's who he is. And if you watch him play and you get to know him, you can see that right away. His ability to shoot the ball, he's going to shoot the ball very well in this league. That is another thing that excites us, but also his work ethic. We know he's going to show up. He's going to work every day. That's something that caught our eye because, as you know, it's not just watching them play real games, but we know a lot about these guys, right? Like that's what you do through the process. Like Sean said, the coaches who were part of the process was amazing. I'm not going to tell you what the process was because that's our secret. But, the group did an amazing job, and us being involved in it was very unique for me, for my experience. And, selecting him, another thing that I believe he's going to help us is with our full court pace, his ability to throw the ball ahead. That's also going to help the team. So we were pretty fast in the half court and slow in the full court, and I think playing with him, he's going to help us be faster in the full court. So all that will help the team. Like you said, the team will help him, he will help the team. So that's a good partnership.
CJ Holmes, New York Daily.
Hi, Nitzan Livnev from Haaretz Israel. Sean, what can you please tell us about the selections of Ben and Danny and the journey they should have, the expectations?
Yeah, look, I think I really enjoyed watching Ben overseas. We went over to see him live a couple times, so it was great to watch how hard he competes. I think that was something that really stood out. Passing ability, pride on defense. I think he's playing at a high level over there, and, for him to come back here and be a part of this group with those experiences, those worldly experiences is key. I like the way he gets the hole, finishes around the basket, doesn't shy away from contact. So I think there was a lot of things that translate into our game. Danny, I think we've already sort of talked a little bit about the high IQ and a skill set that's very unique for a person of his size. So to see him out there and other teams continue to try and figure out, well, how do we stop him? Who do we guard him with? What system do we put around him? I mean, that's a unique problem to have, right? And we're all in on that. Like, how do we use both of those young men to the best of their abilities and watch them grow and so forth? So, yeah.
A question for Sean. There might be nights at the Barclays Center when we will hear more Hebrew than English. So I just like to hear from you, what does it mean for the community, the Israel community in New York, the Jewish community, to have these two guys and get this support out in the stands, which is going to be incredible, of course.
Yeah, to be honest, it's fantastic the way it just worked out. I mean, if you think about it, like the game of basketball is such a worldly game, played all over the globe. You've heard about how the rest of the world is sort of catching up to one of America's games. I won't comment on that. What I will say is there's talent everywhere, and that's our job, is to bring in the best talent regardless of race, ethnicity, and so forth. It's to bring in the best basketball players and, welcome them into not only Brooklyn, into our borough, but into our Nets family. And I think that's what you're going to see. But it's certainly going to be unique having both of them here. And we're excited about that. I know the borough's excited about that. I know the Jewish community here is very excited about it too. And you've got two incredible ambassadors for that here. So it's exciting.